Here's your top 10 as voted by you for February 2025. Hope you stick it through to the end and see if it's the one that you liked the best. Happy watching! Hi everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves to Scrap, and I'm playing along with the 52 weeks of 52 favourite photos YouTube hop, and I am really late. I should have been last Monday, but I have had things happening, so it's now really late, and I'll get this one up and I'll have the next one up ready for tomorrow. So I'm really sorry that I'm bombarding you with a lot of videos lately, but I've just been very busy and I'm just trying to catch up and clean out. So with this one here, I've taken my photo of my son. It was on Christmas Day, where he thought he was so handsome in the shirt he bought himself for Christmas and the boardies. And no, not a good look, but he loved it. He thought he looked awesome for Christmas, so that's why I love this photo, because he honestly thinks he looks so good. Okay, so what I've done here is I'm stripping down some papers. I've got black and white as my main theme because he is so leery in his colours. So I'm toning down the colours of the photo by using the black and white background. I'm going to then use this border punch here with the stars so that I create a little bit of a visual effect across the black and white, because they do blend into each other. So that is problem sometimes when you use very similar background papers to create an effect, and a border punch is a great way of lifting them and adding some detail to the layout. So I'm pretty much showing you step by step how this is coming together. I don't always do that, but sometimes I do, and that's always good, especially if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen how I work. So I've trim them all down so that they are 11 3/4 by the 12 in width. 11 3/4 by width. These two top ones here are 1.5 inch for the top and the bottom, so that gives me the clear base. I have a 1 inch frame out of the cardstock, which is the pop of red that I need for the Christmas V, and also for the red that is off his shirt. I'm now layering the middle section here, which was a 4 inch by 12. And then that allows me the two sections for my other two strips, which were 2.5 inch by 11 3/4. Sorry, the one that was 4 inch by 11 3/4. So I go putting these ones across there, and now I have a full base based on strips. Now this is perfect if you've got lots of scraps left over. You can create a base this way as well, and by putting it that way and overlapping each other, you have created the strength you need for your layout. Now here's the photo, and I've matted it onto the red, and I also gutted the red underneath so that I could cut out my die cuts for this layout. Now I have got a different paper again with the black and white, and I'm going to use those to create some fishtail banners, which I'm going to put to the side of the photo. And I went through my scraps and I found some reds and blues all to tie together so that they too can be fishtail banners across the side of the layout, and that ties in the colours of the photo with that muted background so that it's not so leery, and the photo now really pops. So what I do is I fold my strips in half, and then I cut diagonally to create the fishtails. That's a quick simple tip of how to do a fishtail banner. Now I'm marking off with my pencil where the photo is going to sit, so I know I can layer my banners there, and I know that my photo will be covering the other part of it. So it doesn't matter how big a piece of scrap you have, but this is another great way of using up all those little pieces that you have lying around. And so that's, you can see that I'm layering some on top, some under. I've brought in the words Merry Christmas in the red and the white to tie in with the words Season's Greeting and Merry Christmas, Ho 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 on the black and white paper. Now the red with the stars underneath are tucking in, and I'm putting that all together now to create this underlay, or this second layer where the fishtails are sitting underneath that photo. And you can see how by mixing it up, and I put the photo on top, the photo now really stands out. Now to create another layer of interest, I'm going to put this layer in underneath the photo mat, and I'm using the red with the stars as one part, and then I'm using the blue with the holly and the pine cones for the other. Now I'm going to trim that down, and now I have it, and it looks like it is double matted or triple matted in some places, and that continues to build those layering levels of the layout. Now for some points of interest, I'm going to put in this tattered film strip, which I've cut out on my die cutting machine, and then I'm going to continue to layer fishtails down the bottom here so that the photo continues to layer up underneath, and that film strip has that continued building block to land on. So using my Nuvo glue, I'm just going to glue around the edges and place it down. Nuvo glue is really good because it has that controlled nozzle, plus it also sticks and dries nicely. Then I'm just going to layer up here in the corner two little, well, first of all I'm going to put on a photo quarter that says love this, and it's in the grey, so it just blends with the background and doesn't overpower the photo. Then I have two little journal notepad sheets which I'll use for journaling, and a camera. So I'm just going to put those in underneath. Normally I'll go off screen and do all of my embellishing, won't layer it all on for you, but today I thought I'd show you exactly the whole process so that you see how it all comes together. And I do use tape for a lot of my embellishments. I don't always use glue. That allows me to manipulate and move when I'm not happy with its placement. Okay, so far I've got that in place ready to go. Next I'm going to pop up the camera, and I'm also going to put in some fussy cut squares here out of the main papers, and you can see I've got some holly leaves here. I'm going to cut around this one, which is a Christmas tree. I'm going to put that in there as well because I like my clusters of 3. I've got a star which I'm going to put onto the layout, and I go through the papers and I find some more that I put on, and so I have a decoration bauble there, and I'm going to cut out another piece of holly down here. So now that I've got my extra pieces, I can build up the rest of that cluster there with the camera. And I'll put in the tree and the bauble and the camera, and then I've got the holly and the star down there, but in the end I decide not to put that, and I'll go back again, you watch, and I fuss around with it to make sure it lands properly. So I have a 3 cluster there with the camera, the bauble and the tree. Now I'm going to pop up this Santa that I have made. Now I did make this Santa for the 12 days of Christmas decorations with Ginger's Hop, but I haven't put the video up. So if you'd like to see how this Santa came together, let me know in the comments below and I'll process the video and put it up, and you can have a look and see how that happened. I used, it is a cut file from my Cricut, and I've just layered it up with the papers underneath. But if you'd like to see how that came together, let me know in the comments and I will put up that video. So here's how I've gone off screen, and I've found a title that says Here Comes Santa Claus. I put in an arrow to point at my son in his beautiful Larry shirt and his wonderful combination with his boardies. He's got his sunnies on and his hat is out. He was actually going out to the fire station, would you believe, getting ready to do the Santa run. So that's how this has come together. It's quite easy. I do love this photo because my son always tells me that he is awesome, and this photo here says how totally awesome. Don't you agree? It looks just beautiful. Not really. Down below is a full playlist link. Go and check out what everybody's doing. Leave them all some love. We really appreciate it when you interact with our channels. It lets YouTube and the algorithm know that we're actually doing what people want to see. So hopefully I've done enough to earn a thumbs up from you. Happy scrapping till next time. Next week I'll have another one, and here's my next video. See you soon. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are playing part of Stamp and Stencil Savvy, and this is a hop hosted by Brianna from Love My Life on Paper, and we are stamping a journaling box this month. So the whole goal is to use our stencils and our stamps on a layout. Stencils in any way we choose, but we are given a directive with our stamping, and the directive for this month, as I said, is journaling boxes. So I am preparing my layout to incorporate both into these, and I'm using Kaisercraft this month. So I have a beach photo because that's my happy place, and I am going to build my layout around that photo. So I'm just trimming down a mat which will go underneath the photo, and I'm going to actually work that mat into a double, but I wanted to work out where to stencil. So I have this diamond stencil, and I am using scorched timber through it with my Distress Oxide, and I'm just inking up the page where the mat is, just so that I have a little bit showing, and this will be all blended in with what is going to happen on this layout. So sometimes I'll use paste through my stencil, but this time I'm actually just going to use the oxide ink through it. I'm just going to distress edge this piece of paper, and then I will distress it with the distressing tool just to give it a little bit of interest and lift it off that frame. So when I'm looking at my layouts, I'm looking at the feel of the layout, I'm looking at the photo and what I want to reflect from the photo. And because my photo is of the beach, I want it to have a bit of a rustic, rough feel to it. So I'm going to ink up the edge of this mat that I'm using to photo mat, and then I'm going to trace around the photo, which you'll see me do in a moment. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm actually going to tear out the center, or cut out the center, because I want to do this as an overlay frame. And that's, so you can see that I took out the center there, and now I'm just tearing out the edge, and I'm leaving a little bit of a lip there so that I can distress it even further. And I'm going to use my nail to bring it up around, as you can see, just tucking those corners up and around. And then I'm going to do this twice with another piece underneath it, so that it has a double rimmed layout for the photo mat. And I'm going to also use the Distress Oxide around the outside of this, so it just gives it that shading and shadow effect. So I'll do it once again. This time it's just going to be 1/4 of an inch smaller. So I started, the first one I did was 6 by 8. This one's going to be 7 3/4 by 5 3/4. And I'm just going to place that over the top, seal it down, and then because it's just the base that I trimmed out of my frame, I'm just going to take out the center roughly, because I don't really need that white piece in between, and I'm going to then rough it up again, and that will give it its double layer of framing. And that's just an effect that I wanted to create that builds on that rustic beach feel. You do this sort of effect for anything. You can make it like a 3D look. You can build embellishments in behind before you put it over a photo. There's a whole lot of things that you could do. You could raise it up on foam tape, but I'm just going to have it flat against the photo. And I'm just checking that all of the main parts of the photo are revealed, and then I'm just going to leave it as is, as you can see. And I'm just going to run that Distress Oxide over the edging just to put that extra shadowing in, and I'm very happy with how that's turned out. So I'm just going to tape that down over the top of this one. So I'll put my photo down first, and then you'll see that I'm only working on my base, not attached to my frame yet, and that's because I want to do my stamping first. So I'm going to put down my photo, which is going to be in the top right hand corner, and then I'm only putting this frame down flat, but like I said, you could pop it up with foam tape, you could put embellishments in under the frame over the photo. There's a whole lot of things. You could turn it into a shaker if you wanted to. This is my photo of my one time at the beach in summer. It's my happy place. I love the beach. Look at the water, look at the colours. It's just so refreshing and it's so exhilarating, and I just get a big buzz out of it. Now the directive was to put a journaling box, so I went and found some of my old close to my heart stamps, and I'm putting in this notepad type of journaling box here, and it looks like it's on pages from a book. I'm also adding in some bubble stamping just to reflect the water. I'm going to cover up my photo there because I don't want to stamp over the top of my photo. I do want to have the bubbles going around the layout just for that added water feature and adding it to the thing. Now you can see that foam there. I never knew until I watched. I can't even, maybe it was Scrappy Cathy that had the foam from her stamps, or maybe it might have been Helen Ding. I'm not too sure which one it was. It was one of those two, and I didn't realise that that's what you'd use that for the stamping. So much better. Thanks whoever it was that taught me that. That's great. Made my stamping so much cleaner. And now I am putting my layout to my frame, and I'm just going to add a little bit of stamping where it's not been stamped, where I missed a bit, and then I'm happy with that overall effect. So it looks like it's fading into both areas, and now it's time to build up my embellishing. So I have this branding strip from an old Kaisercraft beach. I think it's called Coastal Beaches or Coastal something, Coastal Waters, and it says my happy place is the beach, which is so true. The happy place is the beach. I always feel rejuvenated every time I go to the beach. I'm just going to trim out with my craft knife the little bits in between these flowers that I have fussy cut from another piece of Kaisercraft from this range. And this one is a tropical range. And I'm just going to ink the edges to take away the harshness of that fussy cutting. And I'm going to give it some dimension by softly curving the petals using my thumb and fingers. And that way it just comes up off the page, off the layout a little bit, and adds a little bit of interest and texture. So I'll do that to all the flowers, and then I've got the leaves which I'll tuck in underneath once I start placing them onto the layout. So if you don't have ephemera, you can use a sheet that has these giant flowers on it, and you can fussy cut them out and include them as part of your embellishing. It's a great way of stretching your stash, and it's also a great way of doing complementary pieces because they come from the same paper range. And as you can see, I'm just tucking the photos in to build up a cluster in the top left and the bottom right. So it's a diagonal sort of effect that I'm going for around the frame of the photo. I'll tuck in the leaves and make sure that I've got a balance between the greenery and the teal bluey colour. And that allows the eye to be naturally roaming the layout. And I'm just going to sweep these bigger ones down through the layout. And I'm liking how this is all coming together. And I have an extra flower left over, which I'm going to tuck there. Now, when you see me, I'm going to go off camera to glue it down. I did make a little bit of change with the leaves over on the left-hand side, but it's still pretty much the same as I did. So after that, of that frame that I had cut out at the centre behind the photo, I have fussy cut out the shells, and I'm going to add these to the bottom of the journaling box. I've also got two larger shells which I tucked into the clusters at the top, and I'm just going to put them peeking out through the flowers as well. And that all ties in with that beach theme, that beach vibe for this page. I'm popping some of the shells up on foam tape, as I said. I put some foam tape under some of the flowers as well, and that just allows for that added dimension to the layout. Tuck a little one in there, tuck another little one in there. I have the bigger one at the top of that cluster, and there's how this has come together. It's looking quite nice and balanced, which is what I like. I'm just going to put in this last little shell down here, and then I can get onto the journaling. And that was the whole purpose, was to have a journaling box on the layout. So I'm just thinking about what I'm going to write, and I do write about the beach being my happy place and being my only time this summer due to my sickness. Handwriting on your layouts is really good. I know a lot of us go, oh, my handwriting's terrible, but it is a dying art. Being a teacher, I can tell you it is a dying art. With digital technology being at the forefront of things we do, handwritten texts are on the way out. So it's really important that we record with our handwriting, because in the future people will want to see what we did, how we did our handwriting. So it's nice to add it to your layout, and it's also that extra personal touch. So I have gone through my wooden letters, and I've pulled out the ones to make my title, and using the Gathered Twigs Distress inks, and I've got them in these stain daubers. I am colouring them up for my layout. Now as they dry, they will get lighter and they will blend in. I'm also using the Tim Holtz Distress Spritz. I'm using the squeezed lemon for this one, and that's giving it a lighter gold shimmer and taking the colour down, which is really, really effective on these wooded pieces. And it's an extra way of adding colour to your otherwise plain titles. So my wood pieces for these two have stickers on the back, which is great, so I can just peel those off and put them onto my layout. And then these ones I'm gluing into place as I go using my Nuvo glue. So it says my kind of, and then I've got the larger wooden pieces that say vibe. And I like how it's got the variegated colour throughout it. So it's lighter and then it gets darker. So that gives more visual stimulation for the eye, and it gives it a different look across the layout. So just to finish off, I'm just going to add in my Nuvo drops. Actually, I'm using pops of colour, and they are adding to my 3 points around my layout. And I'm just going to flick them underneath, and that turns them into a faux enamel dot, which is always helpful. And if you don't have pops of colour, you could use Nuvo drops, or you could use gemstones. There's a whole lot of other things. Sequins, they all have the same effect. Brads even. So there you can see where I have my stamped journaling box. I have my use of my stencil, and I have completed this layout for the month of February. I cannot believe we are in February already. There you go. Hope something here inspires you to get creative today. If I've done something that inspires you, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate your feedback. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. There will be a full playlist linked below of all the people who are stamping along and creating in this hop. Thanks, Brianna, for organising it. It is a great hop and I love being part of it. Don't forget to leave me a comment. Thanks for watching. Happy scrapping until next time, and here's my next video for you. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves to Scrap, and it is Sunday, so that means it's Scraplift Crafternoon time, favourite day of the week, where I get to lift some very talented people. And today we're lifting Tammy Hawes, who is from Scrap the Boys, and look at this amazing layout. Well, I started out with a one thought concept direction, and I ended up changing my mind as I went throughout. I was going to use some of these, but then I chose not to. So I am starting with this background here from Scrapbook Fantasies, Cutest Farm number 4, and I'm using that as my base. Now, I don't have 49er market, so therefore I'm going to build mine similar to what Tammy has in hers, and she has this square framing thing happening in the middle. And at first I thought I'd do like a notebooky sort of border on the frame in the middle, but then I changed my mind and I decided I'll go with more of a country feel, and I'll use a bit of a burlap or Hessian stamp to create my border. So I'm just going to put that one away for now. Pardon me. And then I will start with, as I said, the burlap, and I'm just looking for that stamp while I rule up a grid. Now, because it is in lead pencil, you won't see it on this busy background, but it's just a guide for me so that I can work out where I want the stamps to go so that I have that working space. Now, as I said, as I was working through this layout, I changed my mind heaps of times. My direction changed quite a few ways throughout, and I'm happy with how I did it in the end, but it was a bit of a journey. So as I said, I found the burlap stamp, and I'm just going to line this down the edge of the square to build my frame. And you can see that I overlap in places, and that's fine because it doesn't have to be the same consistency when you know that things are going to go over the top of it. And I want it to feel a bit rustic and not exactly a planned contour like the 49er Market has on their layouts. So I am adding in some stitching over the top just to make the exact frame stand out, and you can see that it doesn't have to be overly bold, but it does stand there, and you can see it giving the image of the frame, which is what that beautiful piece of paper that Tammy used had. So this allows me to set up my framing network for my layout, and I'm actually quite pleased with how it turns out. Something simple and proving that you don't have to have the most common and most current pieces and to create the same type of imagery or the same type of layout. So this is a perfect opportunity for all those branding strips that we collect. So I'm not going to use washi like Tammy has. I'm using branding strips. And in this here, I've just pulled together some scraps that I've got lying around in all the different colours and shades to put in behind my photos. Now, this photo is of a cow. I know that's pretty unusual. Why would I have a photo of a cow? Well, I actually like capturing the obscure in the world. And one day when I was driving to the local shopping centre, the dairy farm cows were down along the fence, and so I just stopped to take a photo because the sky was magnificent with the gum trees and so forth. But this one particular cow just looked up as I was taking the photos and was very forlorn in its look, and I just loved its eyes, so I took the photo, and that's why I wanted to capture it. And it is going to be a companion page to one that I did last week for my 52 favourites. Now, as I said, I'm using the branding strips on this one, and I'm going to use it the same way Tammy did with washi, and I'm going to tear it at different levels and different angles, and that's going to produce that border at the top. So I always keep my branding strips because you never know when you're going to use them, and today is a perfect opportunity to do so. And I'm just going to tear them, like I said, both top and bottom in different layers, and I'm just going to layer them across. I've got different patterns and just the different shades for the layout. So the shades are from the cows and they're also from the papers. And that way it allows it to complementarily blend into a harmonious layout. And this is the fun part. This is where you get to tear paper and you get to put it down in different layers. And I really like the effect that this has. And it is a perfect reason why you should be keeping your branding strips, because there are lots of different ways of using them. And this one worked out perfectly. I didn't have to cut into any papers. I was able to use the branding strips, and I got lots of patterns and lots of shades, and it's all tied in nicely. I did add in a notepad torn piece of cardstock that I cut out with my paper punch, and I also put in the days of the week because that's just what cows do. Every day of the week they get milked, they get loaded up with food, and the process starts again. So as I said, I changed my direction lots and lots of times with what I was going to use in my clustering part to match what Tammy had on hers. In the end, I decided to go with these die cuts. So they're Australian in nature by having the gum nuts in there. They're the gum leaves. And then I've added some sunflowers just for the bright contrast. I've thrown in a cogwheel in between because that's like the farming sort of feel to it. And then that's how this has come together. And there's a little bit of a wattle die cut just to give that overall Australian feel to the layout. And down the bottom here, I'm going to build a little scene type of thing. I'm just putting in the fence where the cows were behind, and I've got the gum tree that they were standing under. and I'm just putting the leaves in over there because the whole focus is that one cow. Now over to the right hand side of the photo, you'll see that I put a second photo underneath instead of the ticket that Tammy has on hers. I had done this photo large and I had done it small, and I just thought, well, this was a perfect opportunity to use that and instead of the ticket, and I just put that extra photo in underneath to give that layering effect. So I'm happy with how this is coming up, and when I asked my daughter for a title, she just came up with, well, why don't you call it Moo Venture? And it's true, it is a moo adventure. We did go along, saw the cows, the moos, and there it came together. And it was funny that it was my daughter that we used to call Madam Moo, who came up with it. She loved cows. She still does. She just still does love cows. And so it was perfect that she gave me the title for this layout. Now to finish off, I'm just putting in some Nuvo drops into the 3 points of interest to draw your eye around. I'm happy with how it is. I have that top element there that she had as a quote on hers. I have the little flower there as a cluster point that she had with her charm. And then I have the bottom tied in exactly like she's had hers. So not exactly a 49er market, but a mimic of it. And that's how my layout has come up like hers. And I'm very happy with it. I think it's a great layout. I love the papers. There's the original, as you can see, and this is how mine has turned out. There is a full playlist linked down below of all the wonderful people playing along. They are so very, very talented, and you'll probably see 10 different ways this layout has been interpreted. And I can't wait to go and watch and see what everybody else has done. So go and check them out and leave us all a bit of a thumbs up. YouTube loves those thumbs. Thanks everybody for watching. Happy scrapping till next time. I hope you like what I presented today, and I'll see you in my next video. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and it is time for our Rainbow Crush Hop with Tara, who is the Paper Snob here on YouTube on Instagram, and she coordinates every month a hop where we are coordinating a layout in a one colour monochrome. So this month is pink, and that's obvious with my collection, and I thought I would use some uniquely creative. I have a stash of it, so I'm going to use up some of it, and it all comes from their Serendipity range, which is beautiful. So the photo I'm using on this one is of my daughter. I have done a page with similar photos, but this one I've done large because I just love it because it's captured the opera house through her arms. So I'm just going to cut out the middle of this piece of paper here, because I will fussy cut around those roses because I'm going to use them as embellishments on this page. So I'm now going to use this page that you can see here that I'm going to tear because I'm going to take out a panel of it, and then I have the other page with the beautiful roses on the sides, and they are going to become my side panels on my layout. And then I'm just going to piece this together back into a 12 by 12, which seems a little bit strange, but I wanted to use both sides because look at those roses and rosettes on there. Aren't they just gorgeous? And I am using this pink, which is called Worn Lipstick. No, sorry, it's not. It's Pickled Raspberry I went with, the Pickled Raspberry. And I am edging with the ink to create that distressed layer. Now, as I said, each month Tara is giving us a colour to work with, and February was, as I said, pink, and we're required to use about 75% of our layout in that colour. So mine is pretty much, I'd say, 95% in this colour. So I'm just distressing the edges, and that's because I want it to give a bit of a rustic look and a rustic feel to it, also a bit of a shabby feel. I just cut out a triangle of the paper up there, and here I'm tearing it because I want that rustic and authentic feel to it. And I'm just distressing those edges as well. Now, I was thinking of inking them, but I just feel that I don't need to because they're, oh, I changed my mind. Sorry, I tell a lie. I did ink them. I'm surprised. But yeah, that distressing with the ink just gives it that heritage feel, that vintage feel, and it just softens the edges so your layout looks nice and soft around the frame. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking off the double-sided tape that I used to stick it down, and I'm using another piece of the Serendipity, the one where I cut those roses out, to be my backing and my frame. So you can see the rose peeking out through that distressed tear at the top. I'm now going to use the opposite side of that flower, which is this pinstripe, and I'm just going to distress that up, and that's going to be for my photo mat, and that's going to go in the background. I'm just going to ink it up a little bit, and it is a little bit plain, so I want to be able to draw the photo mat into the layout. So I have this script stamp which I'm using, and I'm just going to use it like a watermark on this layout, and it's going to fade in the background. Now you won't see much of it. It's just going to appear here and there throughout the layout because a lot of it will get covered up. But I just wanted to draw it, just make a little bit more detail onto this layout. So as you can see, that photo mat now, I'm going to put down my photo and it will sit on the mat. And yeah, you don't see very much of that stamping, but it does pick through at points. So that, as I said, is my daughter, and we were in the city and she was just stretching herself. She likes to practice wherever she can, especially if she's in a good mood. It is just a thing she does. It makes her happy, so whatever. I always say to mine, whatever makes you happy, do whatever makes you happy. And I just caught it as she was doing it, and you can see the opera house through her arms. So it's just a really nice image captured. And so I thought with the pink, this worked beautiful. It's a little ballerina-ish. It's a little bit girly. Even though she's a big girl, it's still nice to do a girly layout for her. So I have fussy cut all these roses out, as you saw from before, some of them from the back paper and from another paper that has all of these roses. As I said, they're from the Serendipity range from Uniquely Creative, and I am just inking up the edges of the flowers, and then I'm also using my nails to lift the edges just to give them some like a 3D effect so that they're not so flat, and that allows it for it to build up as a more dimensional embellishment on the page. This does take a little while to do, but it is worth it because of the detail that it adds and the shadows that it adds to your layout. Now I have got die cuts which are outlines of those roses, which is beautiful, and they'll sit there in the corner. I did cut those square frames as well, just to add in behind and add some more detail. And I'm just layering up my flowers how I'd like them on the layout. And I'm just moving them around to get the right effect. I have light pink and that dusky rose pink for my die cuts. And you can see that that's allowing for the building up of those embellishment clusters so that they've got some meat to them, some depth. And then I'm just placing them strategically around the photo so that the layout is just building up in that intensity and layering, which is always important on a cluster. So as you can see, I went off screen and glued it all down, and I did make some adjustments with those square frames to help those clusters achieve height. I'm adding in some pops of colour now, which you all know I like to use because they then flatten out to give that enamel dot effect. Now using my Uniquely Creative gold pen, I am just adding some sparkle to the centres of the flowers, and this is a really good pen to add that. It's got a bit of a gold glitter tinge to it, but not so much. It's opaque, so you get the little bit of a hint, and it's just a lovely shimmer pen that I love using because it actually is quite a moist one, which makes a big difference when you're highlighting pieces on your layouts. So I'm quite happy with how this has come out. You can see that cluster there with those die cuts and the fussy cut flowers. You can see that I have layered it up, popped up some added dimension. I've put in that little quote, I will do big things, and there you go. That's how this layout has come together. It does meet the criteria of pink. It is very, very pink, and this is now how you see the true colours of that layout because I've taken it outside in the sun. So there's a full playlist link down below. Thank you for watching. I hope that I've done something to earn that thumbs up from you. Please have a go. Create a monochromatic one in pink and join along with everybody. Don't forget to go and check out everyone else. Thanks, Tara, for this great hop. It makes a difference when we've got something to work to. Happy scrapping till next time. Here's my next recommendation for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm joining you with day 7 of Follow a Sketch February, and this is the double layout that we are following for this day. I can hardly believe that it's day 7, and I had every intention of doing more, but work is back in play. So I have made a selection of papers for this layout. They are from all different collections, and some of them of course are scraps that I'm using up just to fill in the pieces on the page. And I'm just working out the dimensions. So for the fishtail banners there, I'm going to cut them at 2 inches because they need to fit across the page, and they will tuck in on each other. I've got hearts, and I've got the dots as well, and I do go looking for another piece of paper, and I come up with a blue one in the end. Now, these pieces of paper are all reflective of the colours in the photos, and I'm just going to put this one to the side for a moment because I just don't see how I can get that to work necessarily properly on the layout. So I'm going to begin by working out the placement of the papers on this layout. And to do that, I am going to put the 2 pages together. Now, I apologise, my working space does not work conducively for a double, but you will see the final full layout at the end where you can see how it all came together in the double. But I'm working across the pages at the moment, and that's allowing me to line up all the pieces correctly so that they fit on the layout as per the sketch. So as I work through this sketch, I have some issues with the way it comes together, how flat I find it at times, and I worry that it's too flat and not bright enough or polished enough, I would say would be the word, until I play around with it and add more. And that's where this layout is an example of adding more makes a big difference. So as you can see, the colours are very neutral. They're browns and greens, and the blues of the environment, but they're also the colours in my photos. So that's why it's really important to match your photos and your papers so that you reflect a harmonious layout. So here's this blue paper that I went and found. It's got a script on it, but it's the right colour and matches the blue in the circles on that paper you can see there. Now, most of these papers are really old. I've had them for so long that I don't even know where I got them from. So I'm just using up all my stock this year, hopefully, or well, a fair whack of my stock this year, because I have so much, and I buy it and then think I'm going to use it for the perfect layout, and I never actually ever use it. So now my goal is to just use it. So I'm putting tape onto the back of these banners so that I can put them in place, and then I can work my layout. It was a frustrating layout, I found, as I worked it. I struggled with it, getting my dimensions right. I have been able to use the pencil there to draw the line in so I could work where these fishtails fitted in, because I knew that they would be covered up. And so they're staggered in height, going up and down, so that line helped me to get that effect across the layout. And I just wanted to make sure that I was doing justice to the sketch. So here you can see I have put all of those fishtail banners into place, and then I've added the one over onto the right, which you can't see, and I'm sorry about that, but it is there. Now I'm going to put in my strips across the bottom, and this is why I wanted to work it before I could pull them separate because I just want everything to line up properly and accurately so that when I do put them in the album, they marry up. Now, of course, the chevrons here don't marry perfectly, and I do play around with it trying to get it to marry, but then I realise it's not that big a deal because most of it gets covered up anyway, and only a really discerning eye is going to find the difference in it when it's all together as a full layout. So I'm putting this one in and I'm covering it up as per the layout and until I look at it, and then I realise that I actually have to tuck things in and under as well. So I'm going to go with another strip of this green with the flower on it, and that's going to run from the banner to the banner. It's, as I said, a tricky part of the layout process is getting it correct, because I do like to, follow the sketches pretty much as people design them, because I figure they've designed them, that's the way they wanted them to be, so I'm going to stick with them as much. Now, it is open to interpretation, so because the sketches don't have exact sizings, it is open to your interpretation of where they fit and how it comes together. As you can see here, I'm now putting in another strip of that chevron-y paper, and it's going to sit in between the banner on the right hand side and with a little bit over onto the left. So that's why it was really important that I put these two together, so that when all of these pieces come together, they match up properly in the album. And I'm just measuring it off here to make sure that it fits into that space, and then I can place it down and start embellishing. So the trickiest part on this layout was getting the main structure of it. Now, I do leave a little bit of a gap there, which is fine because I still have the border to put in, and I have gone with my border punch, and I have done a decorative border punch there where the sketch has the scallops. I'm adding it here to the top, so I'm loving the colour scheme of the blues, the browns and the greens, and it just all marries so nicely together. Now I'm separating the pages so that I have a left and a right hand page, and now I can work the whole layout independently of each other. To do my embellishments for this one, I have these really cute monkey stamps. So I am going to stamp the 3 monkeys because these are 3 cluster spots, and I'm going to use the 3 monkeys on the cluster spots. And I do like my stamping platform. It allows me to get a crisp stamp across all the time, because if it's not clear, I can then go back and put it in the same place. I'm also using Copic markers to colour the monkeys, and I do love the effect that it has on these by using the Copics. So I start generally with the darker colours and work my way to the lighters. But in this case, for the branch, I did the light then the dark, and it's come up looking a bit more realistic for this one. And this is the best thing about Copic markers, is the fact that they blend when you go over the top of each other. So it doesn't really matter what way you do it, other than you use the darker first and then go over with the light, because that allows it to blend a lot easier. So I've done the faces of the little monkeys, and I'm now just doing their hands and feet, and then I've done their noses with a light pink, and I'm going to use the darker shade to do their faces. You can just see how it all blends nice and smoothly. Now I'm going to use the darker brown, which I think was E35, and I'm just adding in the shadowing as though the light is on the monkey, and then I'm using E31 to do the rest of the monkey in the brown. And I love how this all blends together nicely, and these monkeys are so cute and cheeky, and that reminds me of the monkeys at the zoo. So I'm just going to finish it off here, topping off their bellies, filling in that space of the belly, and I need to use the darker brown there and topping off with a bit of the lighter brown. And I do love the overall effect that this has created. Now, the best thing about Copic markers, as they dry, They blend smooth and they do give a really natural colour. I'm adding a little bit of a blue to their eyes and then a little bit of a darker brown at points, along with darker parts of green to the leaves. Now, the beauty of those stamps is that I do have the dies that matched, and I was able to cut them out properly on the die cutting machine. So I have got double matting happening for one photo on each side. This is a photo of my daughter and myself at the zoo, and we were there early enough in the morning that the animals were being fed and they were very active. So it was very nice to stand there and watch the animals eating, and there's a picture of them eating. And at first I wasn't sure what they were eating, but they were eating red bamboo, and they really, really do love the red bamboo. There are also lots of babies at the zoo when we were there, so these monkeys in particular had a couple of little ones, and they were quite fun, and we spent a fair amount of time just watching their antics and the way they were looking after the babies and feeding. It was a great time to be at the zoo and to watch what was going on. Now, I'm just putting down the photos. There was a 4x6 and two 5 by 3.5, and then one I trimmed down to a 3.5 by 3.5. And so that's how I have done my photos for this sketch, and I put them in there. Now, when I first put these down and the monkeys, as I said, the layout is feeling very flat to me. So I do like the monkeys, and they do add character to the page, but I felt that as a whole it was still like very bare, very minimal. So I took my time to think about how I was going to build it up and layer it up. So I went and found a couple of tickets because it was the zoo, and I found a camera and I added that to that bottom cluster. Now I'm just going with a stamp to put in some stitching on the strips to join them, and I'm feeling that this is already making a big difference. As you can see, it's starting to lift that layout to that next level. Instead of just being a flat finish, I'm now starting to draw all of the pieces together. And I'm just going to put some stamping across this top one as well, and that adds that messy stitching, as you can see, and I'm loving the effect of that. It looks so natural and real on the page that it's now drawing the eye across the page so much better. Now I have this zigzag stitch, which I'm going to put along the bottom where I have got the punched border, and I'm also going to put it up here at the top so it joins the blues to the greens, and it looks quite effective, as you can see. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, and that just allows for that to all join together nicely. Now I do have a big strip here that I want to join because I don't want that 2-line blank in the middle there, and by putting that zigzag stitch in, I'm finishing off that section, and it just feels like the layout is coming together so much better. And it is tricky when you've already got your elements down, so I'm using a blind so that I don't stamp over my photos. And I'm still not 100% happy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to add stitching in places because I just want it to be a full complementary layout. Then I'm going to put down my title, which I cut on my die cutting machine, and it's going to say Monkey Business. And I put the letters through the Xyron sticker maker so that they're sticky and I can just put them down. So much easier than trying to use glue, less mess. Until I get to the last S and I realise I put it around the wrong way, and I still have to use the glue anyway because I now need to glue it where I had previously had the others stuck. So there's my title in place, and it's starting to look almost right, but the fishtail banners are fading into the background. So what I do is I take my fine line black pen and I'm going to outline them, and I'm just going to trace around each of the banners. At first I thought I just only need to do the blue ones and run my pen around the edges of the blue, but when I did that I realized no, I now need to do all of them because it looks a bit silly and a bit faded, and that's because of the colour tones, but it is also something that you can fix either with distress inking, or you could matte each of those pieces on darker cardstock so that they pop as well. But just by using that fine black outlining, I've made them pop off the bottom of the flat layout, and now it's looking so much better. So there's that layout coming together nicely. The last thing I need to do is to put in some journaling, and it's really important that you put your journaling in, tell the story of the photos so that people who are looking at the photos know what is happening. And all I'm just saying is that we were at the zoo early enough to see the monkeys and at feeding time and mucking around with their feed. So I'm going to put on the date stamper, and I do know the date because that was the day before I went to the hospital and got diagnosed with my illness. So I do know what day that was. I'm going to finish it off by adding in some pink fresh gems, and these are the green ones, which are really beautiful and sparkly and multifaceted, and I'm just putting them into the 3 cluster points just to build that extra finish point on the layout, build up that visual triangle. And I am only doing sets of 3, and they all come together. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some ink splatters. And I was looking for a brown, but I ended up settling on the black because I think the black would stand out just a little bit better given the colours already on the layout. And I'm quite happy with how this has now come together. This is now, to me, a finished layout. And so as I said, I will show you the close-ups, but it's better at the end when you see them in the individual stills so that you can see the whole layout together. But all those stitches make a big difference. The ink splatters add that little bit of extra detail. That stamp being coloured is a great addition to the page, and look how cute that monkey is. So that's the left-hand page, and this is the right-hand side of the layout. As you can see, it too has got the stitching, the border punch, the monkey, the gemstones, and they all just come together beautifully to create a fantastic double, which I am quite pleased with now that I look at it completed. So thank you for watching, everybody. There is a full playlist of all those people playing along with Follow a Sketch February down below. Make sure you go and check out, everybody, and leave some love. Thumbs up lets YouTube know you love what we're doing. Happy scrapping till next time. Here's my next video for you. Hope to see you there. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I am joining you with a Scrap Sketch creative team layout. Well, it's not really for the creative team, but both Mel and I are on the creative team for Lisa's Scrap Sketch, and we're doing sketch number 7. We're going right back to the beginning and starting from scratch, and we're up to sketch number 7. So this is my layout for today, and we're working with one photo. So I have a photo here that I will put a title across there. It is a kaleidoscope of photos from my time at the zoo in January, and I have these 3 pieces of paper which are double-sided, and I'm going to be able to use from my 100 pattern paper kit. So that's great. Another 3 sets of sheets gone out of that kit. So I'll be using this today to build my layout, and as I said, I'm doing it with Mel Walton. Her details will be down below. We do this once a month, and we're up to sketch number 7, as I said. So I'm just taking off the branding strips, getting ready to pull all my pieces together so that I can build this layout. And if you go to the Facebook group, which I'll have linked down below, you can see a new sketch every Friday, which the design team, of which Mel and I are part of, create with and make a new design so that you've got inspiration to get creative as well. So I've cut out all the bits now, and what I'm doing is I'm cutting out this lacy edge from the piece of paper because I'm going to use it like the sketch across the bottom for my fancy strip instead of using a paper punch. And I'm also going to then cut across the middle to create another curve for the top piece. I'm going to use the flower side on this side, on the front side, sorry, so that I can mount the photo on the green and then have that piece as per the sketch behind it. And the beauty of these sketches is that it's open to your interpretation. So how you wish your layout to look is up to you. The sketch is just a guide. Now I've used the green there because it's picking up the colours in my photos. And I'm just going to cut a strip down the bottom, and that's going to be the feather part for the horizontal bar. And there you saw I've got the lace running across just as Lisa does in her sketch. Now, as I said, I'm just going to create the background a little bit more because I feel it's a little bit plain, and so I want to add a bit more for the eye to roam around the page. And I have this stencil, and Gathered Twigs is the ink colour that I'm using, and I'm just putting it around where the photo is going to sit, and it looks a bit like an animal print, so that ties in with the zoo photos. This was a great way to add interest to your backgrounds, particularly if you have a mottled background, and using the ink through the stencil adds to the paper as well. I'm also inking up the edges of my different layers, and that gives interest and detail and lifts it off the background. I'm also doing the matting for my photo, so everything is just that little bit more distressed and a little bit more detailed, so that each part distinctly stands out against the others. Now, as I said, these photos were taken on the day that I went to the zoo. There are a kaleidoscope of photos, just a smattering of everything we saw that day and everything we did that day. And this is a great way of capturing a lot of photos in a very simple manner and being able to scrap them all in one place so that you can capture just those micro minutes of a day. I am just making a realization that I had not put my lace part underneath that rectangle there, so I'm adding that, and I'm also adding some washi tape just for something extra, another feature on the page. I put a piece of washi tape to the top there, and that's where I'm going to anchor my strip of lace that I cut from that other strip, like I said I would. So this is how this layout's coming together, how easy these sketches can be interpreted and used on your layouts, and you can see how the colours all pop. Now, Lisa has a frame on hers, so I'm going to use a 49er market frame. Who knew I had some, but I do, which is pretty amazing. And I've gone with a grey colour. It's really a grey brown, which marries with the rest of the colours on the layout. I'm just tucking it in under that lace piece as per the sketch, and I'm just lining it up, and that's how you can stretch your stash by cutting your frames. They get covered up, so you don't want that to happen. I then have this Vicky Booten title here. It says a collection of moments, and that's what these photos represent. And then I also have these vellum stickers also that are Vicky Booten, which I'm going to use as my anchor point for my clusters. So I've got one in the peach colour, which ties in with the colours of the lion and the other animals, and the flowers on this layout. And then I also have the green, which ties into the matte and the greenery in the photos. So I'm just going to, this is where I deviate a little bit. I just add in this ticket, and I'll just want to tuck it in underneath that photo block just to break it up a little bit more. And I'm also adding in a journaling label because I just want to have a point of journaling on this layout. So I'm building up that cluster there with black and white printables that are from Scrapper Sketch, and I'll put the shop down below. You can get a discount if you use my discount that I have linked in the description box below. So these are all coming together. I have those wood veneer animals, and it's so good. They are stickers, and I have had those for a very long time, and they are finally making their way onto layouts, which is a bonus. And they fit beautifully in with this one because of the colours. Now I'm just outlining things with the black pen, and that's just to make things pop. Now Lisa has a line around the edge of her layout, so this is why I'm putting this frame in, and then I outlined each of the papers so that they have a distinct edge against each other. And then to finish off, I'm just adding in some gemstones that are also stickers, and I'm building up a set of 3 in 3 spots to build the visual triangle so your eye roams around. And that is basically how this layout has come together. There is one more thing that I am going to add, and that is my date stamp. Don't forget to date your work. It's really good for the year of when the event happened, because in the future you may not remember the exact year. So there you go, that's that cluster up the top where I have that sticker as an anchor point. There's all those photos in that frame there. I love those wood veneer animals, the elephant and the rhinoceros. And then you can see that even though they are wood veneers, they're not that deep and it's not that lumpy bumpy. So thank you once again for watching. Don't forget to check out Mel, who's also creating. I'll have her details down below again. And this is how it came out. Nice and quick, nice and easy, and that's how quick it is to interpret a sketch. I hope to see you get creative and join us on Scrap-A-Sketch and have fun with this sketch. I thank you for watching. Hope I earned a thumbs up. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next video recommendation for you. See you real soon. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and today I'm joining you with the Paper Fun Day Challenge for February. It's a challenge for all things paper, and this month we are using a twist where we have to use pink or burgundy and sage. So I have the 3 colours on my layout today, and I'm using the burgundy cardstock for my frame. And from there, I'm adding in this, I was going to use the dot as my background, but I chose not to. I've gone more with the grid in the sage, and that is from Kaisercraft. And I am going to actually cut out some of that in the middle when I work out where my photo's going, so I can use some of those butterflies on the layout as well. Now, normally, I will only do one side at a time, and this is why, because it won't go down, and sometimes the tape just is like a magnet and it causes ripples and it doesn't go on evenly. So that is why I normally only ever do it one at a time. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to double mount my photo onto a double mat, and I'm using the colors the sage green with the dots over the bright pink here. And the reason I've gone with bright pink and sage is because it is a photo of my daughter outside a wicked display. So Galinda and Alphaba are in the back. So therefore, that's why this photo matches nicely with this colour scheme. I'm now using some diamonds because I've cut some diamond shapes out on my Cricut, and I'm layering them up with the alternates with the papers, and some I'll leave single, and I'm going to tuck those in behind and around the photo to create another matting or another layer of interest on the layout. Now I'm just going to place them around strategically, and there will be the double mounted ones, and then there'll be single diamonds as well, and then there are large ones and smaller ones, so just mixing up how it looks on the layout. And as you can see, there's where I cut out where the photo is so that I can use the butterflies which are up in the top left hand corner. And I'm just going to put down my photo to put in my final diamond, which is going to overlap that bottom corner. And then I have got the mix of the sage and the pink and across my layout. Now I am going to use where I cut out my diamonds as a template, and I'm going to just draw in with my white marker 2 outlines of a diamond just to add points of interest onto the layout. Now I have also gone ahead with my dies, and I cut out all of these flowers using the papers so that they are complementary to the layout, and it's just a matter of mixing and matching so that they look balanced when they're placed together, and that there is a nice mix between all of the flowers. So I have got a combination of large ones, medium-sized ones, and little ones, and I'm setting up 3 clusters around the photo so that they all sit beautifully together. So I'm going to have a fuller cluster to the top, the largest cluster down here at the bottom, and I do have in the burgundy the leaves, the bay leaves there, so that they extend in height and width for the clusters. Now all of the flowers are touching each other, and that's important in the cluster, that everything touches each other to allow that balance for the eye. I also have these lovely flowers that I've cut with the burgundy, and they are like skeletal flowers. They're the background just for the interest and to draw your eye around and add the colour in onto the layout. Now I have got my butterflies, and I have an odd number, 5, and that's why I fuss around with this one because I'm not sure where to put it, and in the end I do decide to put it down there at the corner. Now I'm just going to go over that white again because I want it to be a little bit more standout-ish. And to finish off my flowers, I'm going to put sequins in the middle to give them a little bit of sparkle, and they are in a combination of pinks. So I have well and truly used the colour combination for this month's challenge. Now, the Paper Fun Day challenge is a blog on Google Blogs, and I will have all the details for the blog down below so that you can check out. Please go and check it out. Please get creative and have a go and enter. You might win. You never know. So it is a challenge. So don't forget, don't be afraid. Enter it onto the blog challenge and share your creativity with this colour scheme. So as you can see, I've just added some white highlights to the leaves and to those skeletal flowers, and that's just to make them pop a little bit. Now to finish off my layout, I'm going to add in a faux stitched border. I am doing the white because I've got the white dots on my sage paper, and it complements the photo as well. And white, black and craft are neutral when you do colour schemes, so they're things to remember. Now that I've done that, I'm just going to scatter some sequins around just to add a little bit more sparkle. And as I say, I'm very much a beginner in the scattering of sequins onto a layout. I'm just trying to make it random. Then that doesn't always work, but I am still practicing and I'm not giving up. I'm learning, and that's the most important thing when you're scrapping. And remember, it is your scrapbook, so how you do it the way you like it and what you want on yours. But I'm hoping that there's something here that's giving you oh, that's a good moment, or an aha moment, and you'll give me a thumbs up just to let YouTube know that you like what I'm doing, so that they'll promote me a little bit more and my content will get out there. And you, my wonderful subscribers, I only want to do what you want me to keep showing you as well. So if I get a thumbs up, I know that's what you're interested in. So it works all the way around. And don't forget, comments are great as well. I'll always get back to you. Here's my layout finished off. You can see the sequins there, the flower cluster, the diamonds in the background. I've used the colours that are the challenge, which were pink, burgundy and sage green, and I have created a layout that is a lot of fun, and that's the whole purpose of the Paper Fun Day challenge, to have fun when playing with paper. So as I said, please go and check out the blog. It is a great place. You'll see lots of amazing pieces of inspiration, and we like to see what you create as well. So don't be afraid to have a go, and I really am pleased that you are here today, and I do appreciate that all my subscribers keep coming back. Don't forget to leave me a comment. I will get back to you. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next video for you. See you over there. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm coming to you from the land down under, and we are doing our 52 days or 52 weeks of 52 favourites, and this is a hop done by Miranda Weber, and every week we just show you our favourite photos. Now generally it's a one photo, but today I'm going with two. This is an area outside of my home, not very far actually, and I just loved it this day. So I'm using some new Uniquely Creative here, and this is from the Willow and Grace series, and I'm going to mix and match some of these bases from that series, and I really do love this paper. Uniquely Creative is an Australian company, and the papers are very, very Australian, and they just are beautiful in their colours. So for this one, I'm going to start with a little bit of this Hessian type background, or to make a strip in it, and then I have this one here at the top that I'm going to use as my base, and I'm going to fussy cut around all of these flowers for this layout. So to get started, I'm just going to cut off the branding strip, and I will keep it because it does have a great quote on the other side. And that's the beauty about our branding strips these days. They do give us good quotes, or they give us extra bits that we can put into our layouts in some way. So I love the images around the edge of that one, and I want to just keep it in there. Now for this gingham, well, we call it Hessian, and you guys might call it burlap. I want to choose some of it, but look at the cute little images on the other side, and I don't want to waste all of those. So I'm going to strategically cut out a 3-inch strip because I want that down the center of the layout. And I am going to also put in a mounting piece here. But this too, I absolutely love this paper, and it's really hard to use just one side of it. It's just so gorgeous. But I'm going to go with this diagonal stripe piece, and I do like that little cat on the other side. And I want this one to be, well, my photo is a 5x7, so I'm going to make it an 8 by, I think I end up doing about 8 by 10.5 in size for this layout. And this will be, like I said, a central piece in the background for the photo to sit on. And as you can see, the colours are just gorgeous. Look at that mixed media imagery there with the ink splatters. It's just so gorgeous, and I don't want to waste it. So I will keep the pieces because I'm sure I will be able to use that on a layout somewhere down the track, either as a banner or an extra strip, or just another point of interest on a layout. So I'm contemplating my size here. I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to go, so I did end up going as a 10 by 8 rectangle, which is going to be a feature on this layout. Now that's the easy bit. Getting those pieces cut was easy. Well, you'd think I dawdled a bit in doing it, but it was the easy part. Now I am going to fussy cut around these images that are in the paper because they are just so gorgeous that I do not want to cover any of them up. And I actually want them to become a feature of the layout. So with my knife, I am cutting carefully around the images, as you can see here. And my knife is very, very sharp. My husband sharpened it with the kitchen knife sharpener so that it cuts like butter. And I just need to add a little bit more cutting here just so that I can slide that piece in nicely. And I'm going to go around here to the edges so I can get it all in and still maintain that beautiful imagery on this layout. And you can tuck it in there, and that is now a piece on that layout. And I'm also going to need to cut more of these down here so that I can get that strip of burlap or Hessian into this layout. And I want it to tuck in behind these leaves. That's a little bit more tricky because they are a little bit more delicate to work with. I have to make sure that I'm lifting them perfectly off this layout so that it will tuck into that space. Now, I do like how that's come together, but I would like a little bit more of a feature with that burlap. So what I'm doing is I'm punching a border strip using a paper punch, and I do like this one here. It's a scallop edge, but it's also got like a wicker basket feel to it. I'm using Scotch timber here to distress ink the edges of this piece of paper just to lift it up off that background. And I'm doing it also here to the Hessian or burlap piece here. Now that I've done that, I can actually start building this layout. So it took a lot of prep work to get it started, but then it's going to come together quite nicely. Now, as I said, these photos I took not very far from where I live. They're on the way to Narellan, and it's actually like 10 minutes down the road, if that. And it's a farm where the cows, where the farmer has his milking cows. And this day we were driving to Narellan, and the sky was just magic. It was like it was stormy, so it was the steel blues and greys, my favourite colours. And this cow, when I stopped to walk up and take a photo, was just looking at me, and he looked so sad, and I just loved that photo of him. So I really want it on there. But this one I think is a little bit too big, so in the end I actually swapped it out for a smaller version of the same photo that I had printed. So I'm using this big photo. As you can see, I love gum trees against a stormy sky. The colour of the gum trees just is magnificent. And look at the greenery of that grass. It's just so good this summer. And there's that cow again, a bit more closer. And I had done him into a smaller photo. So I'm just going to tuck that one there to the top right hand. And I did mat that with some more of the papers that I had cut out on this layout, which you'll see in a moment, where I fussy cut some more flowers to build up the height of the flowers along the left hand side. So I have fussy cut this piece out, and I'm just going to put it there across the photo, and I don't mind that it goes across the tree. It all just blends in nicely, and it's like it's tucking it into the layout. I first cut out the word ordinary from that other piece of paper that you saw with all those beautiful images on it on the back of the burlap or the hessian, and that is where I got that title. And I'm adding these arrows in to point to the photo as it is extraordinary. It really was a great photo, and I just like the colours of it. Now I did put blue arrows in as my nod to the blue in the photo. And then I'm tucking in another little fussy cut flower just to finish off that collection there. Now when you have your layouts where you're fussy cutting and cutting into them, and you've got pieces sticking out the back, washi is a great way of making it flat and not stick out, so you can put it into your album without catching. Now to finish it off a little bit here, I am going to put some random stamping. It is a uniquely creative stamp. It is a text stamp. So I'm not making it perfect. I'm just putting a little pieces of text here and there, and I'm using the stamp itself, the holder, to be a shield against all of the ink on the layout. And I really do like how this has come together. It's very simple, very easy. It looks quite intricate, but it wasn't that bad. So just to finish off, I'm setting up my visual triangle here with my Nuvo drops, and you can see how quick and easy this has come together. But these photos are, like I said, my favourite for the week. And I hope that I've done something here that makes you want to subscribe, makes you want to give me a big thumbs up. Really do appreciate everybody coming back every week to watch. Don't forget that down below I have the playlist for everybody linked. There are lots of people playing along with this 52 weeks of 52 favourites, and I just need to say that I love how this turned out. The layering, the fussy cutting, all of those pieces, plus that doily, just add that little extra something for these photos. So hopefully you've got 52 favourite photos that you could scrap and put into your albums. Thanks for watching once again. I really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up if you like something. Here's my next video recommendation for you, and I'll see you next week. Catch you real soon. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm joining you for Follow a Sketch February 2025, and it is day 1. Now I'm hoping to get many done, but I'm not too sure. Today we're doing Pam Callahan's sketch. So thank you to Sandy Reversky, who's at Scrapping Reflections on Facebook, and State Goddess here on YouTube for coordinating this hop. And I will put all the details for both places down below so that you could go check out the sketches for yourself. What I've done for this one is I have set up a template that I'm going to use to cut out my pieces. So I cut out a 5-inch star first on my Cricut, and then I placed it in the center of a white 12 by 12 sheet of paper, and I then drew in the sketch as per Pam had, and then I am now cutting out the pieces so that I can trace around them to put it together. So it's a little bit of a long-winded way, I'm sure, of doing it, but this way I can be guaranteed to have the pieces the right size and put them into the right places for the sketch. Now, each of these pieces, as you can see, all form that 12 by 12. Now I am just going to trace out the pieces that I need. Now I'm using the same paper that I did for the star for the top left and bottom right, and that gives it a diagonal across the layout. So I'm going to cut those out directly from the same piece of same piece of Kaiser Craft paper that I have for the star. Now, as you watch that I'm doing this, I'm tracing it in reverse so that it falls into place, and then I'm marking on the back what it is. Now here you see you make a huge mistake, and I want this herringbone side, and then I realize what I've done. I trace it on the wrong side, so I have to retrace it again, and that means that I now have a great scrap which will go into the scrap pile. I'm really sorry, I've just had a coughing fit, so my voice is gone again. I'll persevere as best I can. I'm really sorry about that. Alright, so I am now going to cut this last piece off here out of this butterfly paper. It's just beautiful because I want the chevron side of it, and I also want the butterfly side of it, so I'm cutting two pieces and I'm just mixing them up so that they all fit together. So now that I've done all of the pieces, I'm just going to distress the edges just to add a little bit of texture and add a little bit of depth to the layout, just for something different. So I'm just going to use my distressing tool to go around the edges of each of these papers, and then that allows me to define the edges of that sketch more clearly. So when I put it onto the cardstock, they stand out and add interest to the layout. Now, doing the star is a little bit more tricky because it is a little bit more finer, and I don't get into all of the corners, but generally over the top it stands out. Now, using what was left of my template, I'm placing it onto the black cardstock to guide the placement of my big pieces. So you'll see that I'm leaving a 1/4 of an inch border around the edge of this design so that I have a frame, and then I'm just putting in the pieces as per the template. Now that's just a handy tip if you want to do it this way. You don't have to. Other people would have done a file cut on their Cricuts or other cutting machines. Other people have done different designs. So there will be a full playlist of all the people playing along, and you will see so many different interpretations of this sketch, which is the great thing about following a sketch. Now, this is the best tool ever. It has arrived, and I have to say thank you to MK from Some Assemblage Required. I placed this order not so long ago. I'm talking maybe a week ago, and I am here in Australia, and this has come from America, and I can tell you it came so fast and the quality is outstanding, and I am ecstatic. This will become my most favourite tool, I believe. It is the stitching ruler, and I love it. I ordered the 2 stitching rulers plus the stitching circles, and I am so thrilled. So thank you, MK, for getting these through. I am so happy. I'll have your details down below. I am not affiliated with her. I just cannot express how good a quality this tool is, and how easy it will make stitching on layouts from now on. So thank you once again. So what I'm doing here is I'm going around with a running stitch, and yes, I'm using the blanket stitch spacing tool, but I'm only going to do a running stitch on this star to add in details. Best tool ever. Going to keep that, and it will be well loved. I'm using some crochet thread here. Sorry for reaching across the camera there. I had to get my threading tool because I'm getting old and my eyes are terrible. No, I'm only joking. My eyes are terrible, and I'm not very good with the threading anymore, so I use the tool to help me. Oh well, it's a sign of age. So I am just threading through. Did you see what I did? Pulled it all the way through. How silly am I? Anyway, I don't need it to go all the way through, so this time I'm a bit more clever and watch what I'm doing, and then I use washi tape to tape down that piece there so that it doesn't move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch around this star. I want it to stand out. I'm giving it a bit of dimension, and by using the black thread, it is blending in with this layout. So I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole star. I am going to go off screen and finish sewing it, and I then actually get quite sick for a little while on this recording, and I have to take a break. But now I'm back and I'm able to do it and continue on with the layout. So now that it's all stitched, I can put down my photos, and these photos were taken on my one day out in the holidays when I felt halfway human with my daughter, and we went to the zoo. Little did I know that the next day I would be in hospital, but we went out and I had a great day with her, and this was at Sydney Zoo, and at the front of the door they have the giant koala, and we just had our photos inside the koala. So what I'm doing here is I'm extending that paper by having Fussy cut out those two butterflies. And from that other sheet of Kaisercraft that you just saw me show you, I have used my punch to cut out the circles. As per the sketch, I am following with the diagonal with the embellishments. And I have got a clock, I've got a pattern, I have got a text circle with the word cherish highlighted, I've got the word memory, and I've got the word today. And then for the other circle component, I've added buttons. So I'm all stitched up with my star, and I am buttoned up with my buttons as my circles. And I love buttons. I have so many. I don't know why I don't use them so often, but I do love buttons. And this layout lent itself to having the buttons for that continuation of the embellishments as per the sketch. So I've put in two butterflies, and I am lifting their wings so that they have a bit of dimension, and I decided I'd use those instead of just circles, and that's showing you how a sketch is just a guide, and you can interpret the embellishments any way you like. You can interpret the shapes any way you like. Pam has put in a star. I'm sure other people have chosen other shapes. So you don't have to use the star. You could have put a flower, you could have put a circle, could have put a heart. It's up to you. It's your interpretation. Now I have followed the sketch in the fact that I interpreted the lines to not be just a different pattern, but to be journaling lines. And this has allowed me to journal onto the layout. And you can see I don't do it straight. I sometimes, I don't know, I just get wonky and don't do it straight. And sometimes it's better if I do it freehand than rule the lines. But there's my journaling onto my layout, and it's just saying that we went out to Sydney Zoo and had a wonderful time, and my daughter really enjoyed it. Now she is an animal handler. She loves working with animals, and she does enjoy opportunities to go out and be where animals are. So I'm putting in my Nuvo drops into sets of 3 placed around there, and if you have a look, I have an odd number. I have 5. So I have 5 sets of 3, and they are on the diagonal, and you can see that from the top left goes down through the title and it continues to the bottom right. That is the diagonal of the layout, and I absolutely love how this has come together. And you can see that I've got a cat here, which is annoying me there, and I need to pull that out. That would be either Willa or Clover, who has visited my table. So that's my layout. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. As you can see, everybody will do a different interpretation. I stayed pretty close to the sketch, There will be a full playlist linked below. Go and check out what everybody else is doing. Go and see what everybody else has done. Hopefully I've done enough to earn a thumbs up from you. Thank you to all my subscribers who keep coming back, and for those who are brand new to my channel and subscribe, thank you, thank you, thank you. Leave me a comment. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next video for you. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves to Scrap, and I'm coming to you this Sunday for Scraplift Crafternoon. Yes, my weekly hop with the most amazing scrapbookers that are out there, and we are lifting Miss Carrie's Creations layout. Have a go at it. It's great, isn't it? What a fantastic layout. So I am going to start with this striped diagonally paper, and I'm going to gut it because I will be using it on the layout as well, and I just love the colours in it. I've gone with this one because it's a bit of a rustic feel to it, and it also is the colours in my photos. Now, Miss Carrie's Creation does the most amazing layouts. She also does amazing sketches, and she is an inspiration in the scrapbooking world. So it is a privilege to get to lift one of her amazing layouts. So I am just adding some distress inking to the edges of this main piece of paper for the base so that it stands up off that framing, and I am doing it one side at a time so that it does go flat, but you'll see there that it's got a bit of a ripple, and I'm not really sure why, but it will flatten out as the layout goes on. Alright, so what I've done here is I've already pre-matted my photos, and this is my son-in-law. He helped my husband throughout the last school holidays to repaint our back family room, which was quite good because my husband was getting to teach him how to paint. My son-in-law has not had very many experiences in the way of handyman DIY, and my husband has taken it upon himself to become his master trader, and he is becoming the apprentice. So it was quite nice to see them working together. Everybody else was at work, and my husband and my son-in-law spent a lot of time doing a lot of the house painting this holidays, which was nice. So I'm just going to add some paint splatters because, as you can guess, we are talking about painting the walls, and these are just great to add to the layout. Now, Miss Carrie has got some stamping on hers as well. She has some cogs on hers, and that's why I've gone with the paint splats. I'm also going to add in some stenciling like she has on hers, and I'm using that scorched timber through this stencil here with the diamonds just to build a little bit more to that background. So now that I've got the basis of my layout together, I'm going to pull together some pieces of paper that will become the coordinating strips that she has in the back of her photos. And this is like an anchor point for the photos on the layout. Now, Miss Carrie also has 2 points down under the photos that are circles, and I'm going to go with one that is a circle, and I've added in a journaling square as opposed to a circle like she had on hers. Just adding that scorched timber to the edges to make it lift off that background, and then I'm just going to layer up how I want the rest of this to come together. So I'm going to cut a strip of that diagonal paper, and I'm going to adhere that underneath the photograph, and that will provide the anchor point. Now, as I'm looking at it, I can see that that has not cut straight. So I'm going to have to fix that, and I'm not sure why that happened, because when I cut it, it said it was straight, but now I can see it is. So I'm just laying that one first, and then I'm going to add the 2 small bits on either side. So I stretch it because the photos will cover where it has a shortfall, and no one will see that once the photo block is down. I'm going to put these photos into place in a moment because I realise I need to add some stitching. So I've got my favourite stitching stamps out, and I'm just adding some faux stitching to the layout. I'm going to run it across those strips, and I'm also going to run it across the bottom edge of this layout and the top right hand corner as well. So that's just a little bit of a more feature to the layout, and it looks just that little bit extra finished. Now that my photos are down in place, I'm going to copy a little bit more of what Miss Carrie has on hers, but I'm going to actually punch a notebook edge to this piece of wood grain paper, and I'm going to slot that in underneath the bottom of my photo mats, and that will just give it another point of anchorage for this layout. Now I can go in and start embellishing. So I'm going to layer up first the first circle that she has on hers, and I'm going to overlay it with a die cut of the clock because that was lots and lots of time that they spent together in the holidays doing this. Then I'm going to put in my journaling box there, and that's going to come in under the notepad paper there and tie in with that cluster to the left. Then I'm going to put in this chain link underneath at the top like Miss Carrie has on hers, and then I'm going to use a tag for my cluster point at the top and at the bottom. So I'm using the same colours that are in the layout, and I'm just going to add these to the bottom. Then I stamped these stamps. They are from P13, and they're art ones, and they're paintbrushes, of course, which was perfect for this layout, and I coloured them with my Copic markers. So I did that off screen. Didn't want to have you sit there and watch me colour in. They are great little stamps, and I'm using those as my embellishments to tie into the theme. I'm putting in a couple of tickets because, you know, when you're an apprentice, you've got to get some tickets, and then I'm adding those in behind these clusters. Now I have this die cut here, which is a little bit of cogs and a little bit of timepieces, so I'm just putting that in here to extend that cluster, and then I'm also going to add it to the top cluster as well. Now Miss Carrie has a clock down in the bottom right hand corner of her layout, so that's why I've put a clock on mine, and I'm trying to keep true to the main elements and the main features of the layout that she has, so that mine copies what she's done. Now I fiddle around with these paintbrushes. I want them on there, but I'm not sure how I'm going to get them on there. I like it tucked in under the photo there, so that one will stay there. And then I still move around and tuck around and play with the photos and the brush at the top. And I finally settle on putting it to the top under that corner, and the same here to the bottom of that corner. And then this bottom one, I didn't know whether I was going to pop it over the top or I was just going to run it as part of that bottom cluster, and I ended up running it towards the corner to tie in the title when I put it into place. So I'm just going to cover up my photos now before I put the title down, and I'm going to add some black ink splatters just to finish off the layout and just add a little bit more mixed media to it. I really love how this is coming together. It is quite a grungy masculine look, and that's what I was going for. This, as I said, is my son-in-law, so it will go into their album, my daughter at my son-in-law's, and I'm just going to put in the heading The Apprentice, because that's what he was. He was the apprentice painter at this stage. It's really nice to see him building a relationship with my husband, and him really does fit into our family very, very easily, which is nice when you have someone join your family and they actually just they fit in nice and easy. So there's my title, and I'm very happy with how this has come together. I'm going to glue down a few things that are sticking up. I hate sticky uppy bits, as I say to the kids at school. So I've gone through with my Nuvo drops now, and I'm adding them randomly like enamel dots, and I'm making a couple of them a bit larger so that when I seal it they will look like enamel dots on the layout in different sizes. I have bought these new pens from Fawn Lawn, and they are light glossy accents, so I'm just adding them to the paintbrushes to give them that raised look on there, get the 3D, and also to be like the steel rim holding all the brushes together. And as I said, I've just layered up that Nuvo, so now it looks like an enamel dot on the page. And there's my layout, and I'm really happy with how it's come together, which I think surprised me, which is good because I like when I get a surprise when my layouts work. I love how this has come together. I love how Miss Carrie was an inspiration.
I really do love her work. I love grunge, I love steampunky and all that sort of stuff, and so this was a great layout to work for, masculine. My son-in-law, of course, there's there with the two photos. I had the clusters on the top and the side, and then along the bottom. So I've stayed pretty true to Miss Carrie's layout, and then I've added my little flair to it. So you too can have a go and play along with us. Tara, who coordinates our hop, is amazing. I am so lucky to be part of this group. They are so talented. Go and look at all the layouts below. Happy scrapping, everybody. See you next Sunday. And here's my next video recommendation. Thanks for sticking it out. Happy scrapping till next time. And here is the next one if you haven't had enough already. See you in the next video, everyone.